Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Samsara Sagare Magnam Dinamam Karunanide Karma Graya Grihitangam Mam Uttara Babarnava Srimad Bhagavata Gyoyam Prataksha Krishna Evai Svikritosi Mayanata Muktyartam Bhavasagare Manorate Madhyoyam Safala Salvadatvaya Nilpunenaiva Kartavyam Tasoham Tabakeshava Bhave Bhave Yata Bhakti Padayostava Jayate Tata Kurushva Devesha Natasvam no Yata Prabhu Nama Sankirtanam Yasha Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Tukashamanastam Namami Harim Param Kammadasha Yatombayat Vidaratas Chalteshva Vigyasvara Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikapaye Muhyanti Yatsuraya Tejovari Mridam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisalgo Mrisha Tamnasvena Sada Nirastakwakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Kaita Botra Paramo Nilma Saranam Satam Pedyam Bastavam Atravastu Shivatam Tapatrayon Mulnanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimba Pareshvaraha Satyo Hritya Bharutya Tetra Kritibihi Shushurshubhish Darshana Nigamakalpataro Kalitam Palam Shukamka Tamradra Samitam Pivada Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rashka Puvi Papka Sachidananda Rupaya Vishwapatyadi Hetape Tapatraya Pinashaya Sri Krishnaya Payam Numa Yam Praparajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvipayano Pirahaka Tara Ajuhava Putre Titamaya Tarabo Vinedustam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munim Anatosmi Yasvanubhavam Akila Shrutisharamekam Atyatmadipam Atititir Satam Tamuntam Samsarinam Karuna Yaha Purana Guhyam Tam Vyasasunum Upayami Gurum Muninam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Kamaniya Kishora Mukta Murte Kalavenu Kupanita Dita Nanendoho Mama Vachi Vijrimbitam Murare Maturimna Kanikapi Kapi Kapi Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Purasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasasha Deshatarine Ande Nanda Brajatrinam Padarenum Avishnasha Yasa Marigato Gita Punati Bhuvanatrayam Sri Gopi Charanarapinda Paramanave Namaha Pitambaram Karabirajita Chakra Shankam Komodaki Sarashijam Karuna Samudram Radha Sahayamiti Sundaramandaha Sam Bataleya Sa Manisham Hridi Bhavayami Komalam Kujayam Venum Shamaloyam Kumaraka Veda Vyadya Param Brahma Basatam Prato Mama Bukam Karoti Bhachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yakripa Tamaham Bande Paramananda Madhavam Salvatara Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining tonight. And without further ado, could Premila Mataji kindly read summary of our last class?
Yes, okay. Hare Krishna. Please forgive any errors I made. This is the summary of Canto 1, some of the verses of Chapter 2. So we started off with Romahansa was narrating the Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. At that time, Balramji entered, and Romahansa was actually quite disrespectful. He did not stand up or he did not acknowledge Sri Balaram. So as a result, Romahansa died immediately due to Balaramji's curse. The listening audience now got upset as they did not have a speaker. So Balaramji appointed Sutta Goswami, who was Ramahansa's son, to continue the narration. So during this narration, Sutta Goswami received a question from Shanak Rishi, and Sutta Goswami thanked him and then replied, "This is most pleasing. It is most pleasing to the speaker to receive a good question." And Prabhuji at this stage referred to Canto 11, where Lord Krishna had said to Uddhava, "If we want to offer something to a sadhu, ask a good question. This will help the listener and the audience to remember Lord Krishna's instruction. And this is true dachina for a sadhu." So Sutta Goswami then thanked Shanak Rishi, and then he invoked the mercy of Sukadev Goswami first, since he heard the Bhagavatam from him. Now, verse 2 is very important to recite before reading the Bhagavatam, as it invokes the mercy of the Guru. To understand this verse, we heard that Sukadev Goswami was a realized soul, and he remained in his mother's womb for 16 years. He knew if he came out, he will get contaminated with the modes of material nature, and he will become a Jiva Atma. Lord Krishna had to reassure him that, and by blessing him with his protection from contamination. So then Sukadev Goswami came out of his mother's womb, and he walked away immediately from the ashram. He did not have the birth rituals or sacred thread. I think it's called upayam. Vyasdev was grief-stricken, and he shouted out, "Oh, my son!" His voice was heard in the forest. Sukadev Goswami had the ability to enter the heart of everything, even the trees. So the trees responded on his behalf. They took compassion of Vyasdev, and they told him that, "Look, we provide shelter and fruit, but we don't own them. So you should not try to own your son." Now, how is it possible for Sukadev Goswami to enter all hearts? And the answer is, when we are ready and we've purified our hearts, the Guru will come and stay in our hearts to give us guidance and knowledge. So Lord Krishna will make the arrangements for us. You will feel a chemistry when you meet your spiritual master, and you will know that this is the right person to guide you. Now, Vyasdev wanted his son back, so he had a plan. He sent his disciples to collect some wood in the forest for a yajna, and he told them to recite 2 verses. The first verse was from Canto 3.2.23, and this verse is what Uddhava was replying to Vidura's question. Uddhava says, "Who is more merciful than Lord Krishna? Putana had applied deadly poison to her breast and offered her milk to Lord Krishna, who took the poison, and then he sent her to the same abode as his mother, because he is so merciful." Then the disciples recited from the second verse from Canto 10.21.5, and this verse describes Lord Krishna's beauty. So the description is, he has a peacock feather in his hair. His body is very fit and well balanced, like a dancer's. His ears are decorated with flowers. He wears golden color, yellowish garments and a Vijanti mala. His flute touches his lips with a nectarian sound. Now, when Sukadev Goswami heard this, his thoughts were absorbed in Lord Krishna's beauty. He started following the woodcutters, and as he couldn't resist listening, and lo and behold, he arrived back at his father's ashram. So Prabhuji then explained about ornaments in Canto 3.2.12. When we want to look beautiful, we adorn ourselves with ornaments. But when ornaments are placed on Lord Krishna, the ornaments become beautiful because of his beauty. Now, Sukadeva Goswami had experienced Lord Krishna's beauty. He had studied the Shastras and understood the essence that Lord Krishna is one who manifests as Nirguna in nature throughout the universe. Sukadeva Goswami experienced that oneness himself. He wanted other people to experience this transcendental knowledge. He was so compassionate and wanted to help them. He extracted this essence and gave it freely for our spiritual advancement. So Sukadeva Goswami is the guru of all munis. When King Parikshit was asking the sages, what is the best spiritual practice to observe in the last 7 days of life? The sages give different answers, such as meditation, charity, yajna. At the same time, Sukadeva Goswami arrived, and the sages recognized him as the guru of all munis. So when Sutta Goswami was addressing the sages as Naimisharanya, he offered prayers first to Sukadeva Goswami, who enters our hearts when we are ready. So before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, we sincerely pray to Sukadeva Goswami to come in our hearts. He removes the darkness and ignorance accumulated over the years. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a very detailed summary. I'm sure Mataji spent a considerable amount of energy. Thank you very much for your effort. So without further ado, so we move on to next verse. So today's verse, we start with 4th of 2nd chapter, 1st canto. So this verse also, actually, we are reciting before we discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. So can anyone read the translation, please?
Could you kindly repeat canto, chapter and verse?
1-4. 1 to 4.
Yeah. So today we start 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, and then we'll discuss further.
I can read.
Okay, Chadan Mataji, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana and unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vasudeva, the author. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So nothing happens with single cause. Even though we are able to recognize only the immediate cause. So in the eyes of young child, so her or his birth is due to and mother and father. But if you become an adult, actually my birth is not only due to presence of my mother and father, due to my ancestor. So he or she starts to see the grandfather and grandmother and further generation, and all things connected, all entire ancestor is connected to my own birth. But scientific point of view, actually it starts with the beginning of a whole human race. So that much we can understand. But if you start to look at the Vedic knowledge, my birth actually is related to entire creation of whole universe. Well, first of all, material element has to be there. And then, of course, Krishna's willingness to create. And also all different devatas, including Lord Brahma, are involved. So, as we discussed before, single movement of ups and down of wave is backed up by entire ocean. So in this way, our tiny bird, it seems like it very insignificant, but and yet our bird itself is connected with entire universe and entire creation. So in order to express our gratitude, to learn the secret of our existence and secret of all the Vedas, all the Shastras, so we offer obeisances. Narayanam namaskritya. So in general, common Indian greeting is namaste. So namaste, namas plus te. Te means unto you. Namas means obeisances. So when we greet each other, we say namaste. But actually, namaste is not only greeting the person, but actually we are greeting the divinity in that person also. So when you say te unto you, that you externally may be pointing finger at my external existence. But at the same time, internally, when you say I offer obeisances unto you, that means the divinity within you plus the entire parampara behind my existence. So I offer greetings or obeisances to all of them. So this is a deep meaning of namaste. So can you imagine the rich background of this Vedic culture? So namaste itself, not only expressing our own source of existence, and also it shows the culture of respect and the culture of the philosophy behind our existence. So here, before reciting Bhagavatam, actually we should offer respect to all the parampara so that we can get their blessings, then we can get some understanding. That's why it says Narayana, first of all, primary cause, which is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we offer obeisances. And then Naram Jaiva Narottamam. And then the Narayana Rishi, so the topmost human being. And then Devi, the goddess of fortune, or the goddess of learning. Devim Saraswati Devi. So Saraswati Devi, by her grace, we will understand better. And then, of course, the author Vyasadeva. So this is basic our etiquette. So in this way, we offer respect to all this personality. So in the purport, it says, the struggle we have for existence in material world is perpetual. Prabhupada said in the purport, third or fourth line down the line, and it is not possible for him to get out of it by making plans. If he at all wants to conquer his perpetual struggle for existence, he must re-establish his eternal relationship with God. So somehow or other, we are entangled this mesh of the material existence. If we able to get out, then here Prabhupada said, we have to re-establish the eternal relationship with God. So in order to establish relationship with God, so we discussed second verse of first chapter, three things we require. Nilmasaranam, which means internal purity we have to work on, and then kritivi, so we have action, we have to know how to perform devotional service, and also shrushruvi, we have to eager to hear, we have to know the spiritual understanding, spiritual knowledge. So in one sense, that purity in our heart can be referred to Bhakti Yoga. Kritivihi, devotional service, through our responsibility, performing our responsibility and duties, all this can be referred to Karma Yoga. And also Shushru should be eager to hear, eager to observe the spiritual knowledge. It can be referred to Jnana Yoga. So not only in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, all is included here. Although Bhagavatam primarily represented as a Bhakti Grantha, although it present Bhakti side mostly, but and yet within that Bhakti, Karma and Jnana is included. So in this way, this Srimad Bhagavatam fundamentally helps us to re-establish relationship with Krishna. And then next verse, it says here, Munaya sadhu purushtoham bhavatvil lokamangalam yat pita Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. So next one.
Vishalne Mataji, would you kindly read the translation?
Yeah.
Yes. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Thank you.
So here, can you see the tone of this statement? It says that all sages, Sutta Goswami received the question by the leader of that sages, Shonaka, and then 6 questions he received. After receiving this question, he's so happy. This is showing the happiness of it. Can you see that? I've been justly questioned, or I've been asked by you. Your questions are worthy, so good question, because your question relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to material worlds, the welfare, true welfare of this material world. There are many social welfare systems, but true social welfare system is reciting and learning and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because only these questions are capable of completely satisfying ourselves. Here it says here, Yena, by this one, Atma Sprasidati. It will make truly our soul enlivened. So this is important of the question. So last week we discussed about the importance of question. So if you look at 11th Canto, chapter 19, text 38, it says, Dakshina Jnana Sandesha. So Jnana means knowledge, Sandesha means the seeking instruction of that knowledge. So if you look at the word for word translation of 11:19:39, the verse is said Jnana Sandesha, the instruction of perfect knowledge. So if you look at translation, so yes, you got it ready.
Patanjali Mataji, would you kindly read?
So maybe the last third line, from the last third line, it says here, second line, it says.
Okay, so shall I read the whole purport, Prabhu? The whole translation or just the second?
No, just the last line. True desirable wealth. Third line.
Okay. Yeah. The true desirable wealth for human beings is religiousness, and I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, am sacrifice. Religious remuneration is devotion to the Acharya with the purpose of acquiring spiritual instruction, and the greatest strength is the pranayama system of breath control.
Okay, so yeah, thank you. So if you look at the Sanskrit word, it says dharma ishtam dhanam nrinam. So true desire, ishtam dhanam, true desire wealth is dharma. So we all have individual dharma. So dharma is our true wealth, which means anyone has a dharma, and then anyone has certain wealth. And also yagyaham bhagavottama. I am the true yagya. And also Dakshina Jnana Sandeshaha. Dakshina. It says here in translation, it says religious enumeration. We all know Dakshina, what Dakshina is. But Krishna's definition of Dakshina is not in the form of paper money, is not in the form of a cow, is not in the form of a certain wealthy object. Krishna's definition of Dakshina is the good question. So it says here, religious remuneration is devotion to the Acharya with the purpose of acquiring spiritual instruction. You remember all this one, please. And then anyone, for example, senior devotee, visit you. You offer sweet word, thanks for visiting, and then you offer something to drink, and then you offer the seat to sit down, and then if they have not had meal, you offer some meal. After this, make sure you have to raise question to them. Why? Because there is a proof of you are preparing receiving him. So during day-to-day life, you don't read, you don't hear, you just busy at your own general routine, and then suddenly you want to have some blessing, you invite them, and then you just feed them nicely, and then you feel job is done. But it's not so. If you don't offer your deep down question, which is related to spiritual subject, which is related to understand Krishna more, which helps to understand Srimad Bhagavatam more, you have to raise this type of question to the guest. This is the best form of dakshina. So please always remember. So I'm sure you had experience inviting sannyasis or certain speakers from the Bhaktivedanta manner. So they always remember, best present for them is good question. Yes? So this is the power of question. And then this actually starting point of Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you look at the first chapter again, the last verse, it says, just a few words before last verse, it says here, Kalim agatam agyaya shetrasmin vaishnave vayam ashina dilga sastrena kathayam shakshana hare. So here, 21st verse of first chapter, it says, Kalim agatam agyaya. These sages, knowing that Kali is progressing fast. You remember, let us suppose that somehow you are working in the weather forecast department in UK. So that you realize that from now on drought is coming. For next 6 months there will be no rain. Then you will make sure that make some arrangement to reserve some water. And so you will advise your neighbors, whoever you close to you, that's saying you will inform the knowledge that there will be a drought. So it will last for some time. So make sure you save water, and also you make a arrangement in your house to expenditure of water, spend the water less. So in this way, you advise certain things. For example, you realize that heavy storm and then a flood will come. Then you make a certain arrangement to set that you may buy some boat, maybe, not sure. So whatever arrangement to prevent your house flooded. So in this way, when the disaster comes, if you know in advance, you will prepare. The same way, the sages, they are paradukha dukhis. They are not concerned about their own comfort. They are not really concerned about their own welfare because they are already connected with Krishna. So nothing really disturbs them. Only thing disturbs them is when other people go through suffering. Para dukkha, when they see other people's pain, that time they feel dukhi, they become dukhi. So in general, they are sukhis. So these people, agyaya, here it says, they realize that knowing Kalim agatam, Kali has arrived. So that Kshetrasmin Vaishnava, they gathered together in the field of, in the place of Kshetra, the Naimisharanya, the holy place, they gathered. So that what we do for the people who will go through tremendous suffering due to influence of Kali. Then they did Ashina, they sat down. This is also another way of solving problem. Anytime when you have a problem, don't stand up or don't run to the pub, local pub. Don't run to the friends. Don't pick up the phone. You just sit down and you calm yourself down and then trying to see what is coming, what is the cause, and how to deal with it. You have to sit down. It says Ashina, Dilga Satrena. So for them, solution is that Dilga Satra. Hrasva is short, Dilga means long. So Dilga Satrena, by performance of long yagya. And then Katayam Shakshana Hare. So they discuss about Lord Hari. So that they're trying to answer through the Krishna Katha. So then what is the problem of this arrival of Kali? So next verse, please. In the next verse, it says, did we read this translation? Let's read the translation first, and then we'll move on to next one.
Vinod Vihari Prabhu, could you kindly read the translation?
Okay. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead, and in this way perform sacrifice. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
So like this, this is also another type of yagya. So this is Jnana Yagya. So by just getting together here, this is also part of solution to this Kali Yuga. Just being us together looks like it only our activity, but actually this activity itself is influenced globally. Why? Because we know that small place, small town in China, the virus developed and then it influenced the entire world. So if we create good vibration here, this vibration will have a butterfly effect. Here, small wave, but waves going more and more through your family, through your acquaintances, through your community. We all have here at the moment the 25 participants. So each participant has their own group. So we'll have a positive impact. We'll create such a good vibe. So this vibe will resonate. So don't think our discussion will end here. The devotion we create, we generate, we will resonate throughout the world. And it said here, next verse, then why the Kali, arrival of Kali is a bit scary. Here it says, next verse 22, Tvamna sandal sto tatra dushtaram nishtir shatam kalim satavam haram pumsam kalna dhara ibarnavam. So Tvamna sandal sto tatra dushtaram nishtir shatam kalim satva haram pumsam kalna dhara iva arnavam. So nature of Kali is that it says it takes away sattva, the goodness in people, goodness of community. This is the true the nature of Kali. So that due to this nature, actually, all the sages are concerned. So let us read this translation.
Harasharani, Devi, could you kindly read the translation?
Yes, Hare Krishna. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as the captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So thank you. So we are trying to develop to see good in others, to see Krishna in each other, not only human being, but also all the living entity. Not only that, we see other living entity, even flower is trying to see Krishna. This is Krishna's devotee's attitude. But Kali's attempt is that trying to bring out anything bad in human being. So Kali's job is deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. So when you see someone is angry unnecessarily, when you see someone trying to attack you or trying to blame you, whatever, you're trying to see it's not the person is doing it. It's Kali's influence is doing it. That's why Lord Jesus said, hate the sin, not the sinner. So in this way, the Kali's nature is takes away goodness of the people. So in this way, there is more reason for us to tolerate. There's more reason for us to forgive. Why? That is Kali's job. So in this way, anything undesirable you see, don't see that person, don't hate that person. Just think that, this person, unfortunately, more influenced by the Kali. So for us, in order to be, not to be influenced by Kali, we have to invite Krishna. We have to establish, as we said here earlier on, we have to re-establish relationship with Krishna. Then there is no room for Kali to enter. Why? Kali means the darkness. When there is a light, there's no room for the darkness. So we don't need to fight with Kali. It's not necessary. Why? Because when we invite the light, the darkness already automatically will disappear. So then how to invite this light? Process of developing our bhakti, process of establishing this light in our life is mentioned next verse. So next verse, it says here, Sabai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktil adokshade ahutaki apurati hatam yatatma suprasidati. Okay, so could you read this translation, please?
Dr. Mohan Okokila, could you kindly read the translation? Dr. Mohan Okokila, would one of you kindly read it? All right. Could Mitalle read it?
I can do that. It's the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here the key verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioned here. The key or cream of the verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, is mentioned here. So I'm sure you heard many times of this verse, even Prabhupada quoted many times in his lecture. Sabai pumsam paro dharma, yato bhaktir adoksaje, ahutaki apradhyata, yayatma suprasidati. So could you prepare 11 Canto, chapter 19, text 27, 11, 19, 27. Yes. So here, there are many definitions are there. So definition of dharma is in this verse, and definition of bhakti is here. So if we know the definition clearly, then there's no confusion. Yes. So here, first definition, let us find out that dharma. What is dharma? Dharma, in another place, Krishna said, Krishna give definition of dharma to Uddhava. Dharma mat bhakta krit prokto. So the definition dharma is here. Definition jnanam also. Jnanam cha aikyatma darshanam. This is also the definition of jnanam. And then guneshu asanga vairagyam. Definition of vairagya, and also definition of opulence. Aishvaryam cha animadaya. So can anyone read this translation?
Gokila Mataji, could you kindly read? Gokila Mataji, could you kindly unmute yourself and read the translation?
Okay.
Actual religious principles are stated to be those that lead one to my devotional service. Real knowledge is the awareness that reveals my all-pervading presence. Detachment is complete disinterest in the objects of material sense gratification, and opulence is the eighth mystic perfection, such as anima siddhe.
Thank you
Hare
very much.
Krishna.
Okay, so here there are 4 definitions given, but today let us discuss only the first one, the definition of dharma. This is the subject we are discussing today. So true meaning of dharma. Why we have to know this one? Because Bhagavad starts with dharma. As you know, dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre, samaveta yusavaha, mamakaha pandavachaiva, kim akurubata sanjaya. And also Bhagavad ends with dharma also. So salva dharma parityaja mamekam saranam praja. And then Bhagavad starts also with dharma. Dharma purajita kaita botramo nilma saranam satam. So dharma is very much has to do with our spiritual progress. So here definition of dharma is mat bhakta krit prokto. Krishna says it is said, prokto, it is declared. And Krishna himself is quoting. And then dharma means spirit producing mat bhakta, devotion to me. This is called dharma. So here Krishna says to Uddhava, but here in Bhagavatam, right in the beginning, Sutta Goswami is saying to sage of Ramasaranya, exactly the same thing. Here is Savepumsa Paro Dharma Yato Bhaktil Adokshaje. So true dharma, the best dharma, highest dharma, supreme dharma is developing bhakti towards adokshaja. Adokshaja means who Krishna's another name, adokshaja. So one who cannot perceive through our senses is called adokshaja. So that develop bhakti towards Krishna, that is dharma. And then question arises that we need to develop bhakti. What is bhakti? So what is bhakti then? So dharma is to create bhakti towards Krishna. So that we have to know then what creates bhakti towards Krishna. So what is bhakti? Simple language, bhakti means nothing but love. So love for Krishna is bhakti. So dharma is that activities which helps to develop love for Krishna. That is called dharma. So kshatriya dharma. So we do kshatriya activity. Why? Because if we do perfect kshatriya dharma, that will lead to bhakti towards Krishna. If we become Raja Dharma, if we become a king, if we become perfect king, if you love a citizen, then that love will lead us to love Krishna. If you're a father, you have to follow Pitru Dharma. If you're mother, Matru Dharma. So that if you perform your activities perfectly, if you become perfect father or perfect mother, actually that itself leads to a way for loving God. So here, then the symptoms of true love comes here. It says ahoitaki, unmotivated. True love shouldn't be motivational. You just love. So, for example, the girl gets proposed by boy, but boy has ulterior motivation to get hands of that girl. For example, girl's wealth, or girl's family background, or girl's position. Then it's not true love, is it? So it should be, true love should be unmotivated. And also true love, ayutaki, is unconditional. So if you serve me nicely, then I love you. If you do this for me, then I love you. This is a conditional. So true love, true bhakti shouldn't be conditional. So ayutaki means two things, unconditional, unmotivated. And then apratiyata. So apratiyata means uninterrupted. So I love you out of 365 days, then and then at least I need to have a 5 days break. So when for 5 days I will love someone else. 360 days I love you, but 5 days I love someone else. So this means interrupted love. So true love shouldn't be like that. So if you love someone, then that love has to be always constant, no matter what situation, no matter what goes through in our life. So in this way, love towards Krishna should be like this, that unconditional, unmotivated, and uninterrupted. It shouldn't be stopped at any moment. So then, if you develop love like this, then what will happen in our heart? He said here, Yaya Atma Suprasidati, by which, with that love, actually you yourself will be Suprasidati, completely satisfied in your life. You yourself will be completely happy in your life. This is a true formula of love. In modern days, love is pain and tears. We saw many love stories ends up with the pain, and you know, the Romeo and Juliet. So there are many love story ends up with tragedy. But spiritual love never ends with tragedy. Spiritual love is ever increasing. So in this way, we looked at Dharma and Bhakti. So at this point, let us look at more about Dharma. Then, what kind of Dharma is there to increase our Bhakti? Yes, so that is mentioned in 11 Canto, chapter 19, text 20 to 24. There are many angas of Dharma is mentioned here. So only thing we know at the moment, Varna Ashram Dharma, that we know, and also we know a few Dharma, Raja Dharma, Pitru Dharma, Matru Dharma, and also Putra Dharma. So these things we heard of, but now you will hear Krishna give example of Dharma which invoke Bhakti in us. So if you do these Dharma properly, then Krishna's guarantee that your Bhakti within your heart will blossom. So would you like to hear that? Dharma.
Mitali, could you kindly unmute?
Yes, please go ahead, read.
Mitali, could you kindly do it? All right, Premila.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
So where shall I read, Prabhuji?
Translation, please.
Firm faith in the blissful narration of my pastimes, constant chanting of my glories, unwavering attachment to ceremonial worship of me, praising me through beautiful hymns, great respect for my devotional service, offering obeisances with the entire body, performing first-class worship of my devotees, consciousness of me in all living entities, offering of ordinary bodily activities in my devotional service, use of words to describe my qualities, offering the mind to me, rejection of all material desires, giving up wealth for my devotional service, renouncing material sense gratification and happiness, and performing all desirable activities such as charity, sacrifice, chanting, vows, and austerities with the purpose of achieving me. These constitute actual religious principles by which those human beings who have actually surrendered themselves to me automatically develop love for me. What other purpose or goal could remain for my devotee? Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So if you look at here, all this you mentioned, if you do that, automatically develop love for me. Krishna says, Krishna guarantee. So this is a manual for bhakti. So manual for bhakti is here. So if you want to develop bhakti, then follow this dharma. Yes? And then this is called Manusha Dharma. It's for human being, not for animals. So here we are lucky we have a body of a human being, so that we can follow this manual, this process, this procedure. So let's look at from a Sanskrit verse. If you look at Sanskrit, it says, number 1, Shraddha. So where Shraddha? Shraddha Amrita Kathayame. So my Katha, you have a faith in my Katha. Why? Because my Katha is Amrita Katha. This is nectar. My Katha is nectar. So that's why in the 3rd verse, in the 1st chapter, we said, Lashka Bhubi Bhavukaha. So in the 3rd verse, it says, we discuss Nigama Kalpataro Kalitam Palam Shukamukha Amrita Drava Sanyutam. So this one, this Srimad Bhagavatam is Nigama Kalpataro. From all the Nigama, all the Vedas, Kalpataro, so all the trees of Vedas, Galitam Palam, it is a matured fruit. Not only that, Sukhamukha Amrita Devasanda, Sukadeva Goswami, by his touch of lips, it turned into Amrita Devasambita, it turned into Amrita. And then, Pibada Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam, you just drink of this nectar and Muhuraho Rashka Bhubi Bhavuka. Not just once, Muhuraho, again and again, you drink this nectar. So in this way, we need to have faith in this Amrita, the elixir of this Krishna Katha. And then second of all, Shashvan. Shashvan means constantly, and then Mat Anukirtanam. So Kirtanam means, Anukirtanam, chanting his glories. So here, Shashvan, when you say Shashvan, it is eternity. So in Sanskrit, when we refer to eternity, there are 2 words normally is given. One is Nitya, another one is Shashva. So why in English, both of them translated as eternal. But in Sanskrit, there's slight difference. So Nitya, eternity of Nitya is like a sun. When sunrise is always round. But the Shashvata, the eternity of Shashva refers to the moon. Moon also rising, but sometimes moon becomes a half moon, or sometimes the moon, it doesn't look like not at all. Sometimes a crescent, sometimes a full moon. It changes the shape, but and yet constantly rising in the sky, whether we notice or not. So in this way, both of them are eternal, but one, Nitya is changing the shape, but Shashvan, Nitya doesn't change the shape, Shashvan changes shape. So here, interestingly, Shashvan Mat Anukirtanam. You can chant sometimes very loudly. You can glorify Krishna in front of everybody. But sometimes you can chant softly for your own ear only. So in this way, when we chant, when you glorify Krishna, you can glorify Krishna just to one person next to you, or just your close friend. But sometimes if you have a chance, you can give a class also. So in this way, Anukirtana can take different shape, but constantly you're doing so. Sometimes you can have a class in the morning, sometimes you can have a class in the evening, sometimes maybe late night, or sometimes amongst your friends, or sometimes amongst your family, sometimes amongst with all the devotees, or sometimes the person you never met before, but you are sitting next to your journey to somewhere else. So I remember I used to travel with the Puryajan Babu. So whoever sits next to him, he always offers books. So when he travels, always he carries, the small books, pamphlet, like sometimes the Upanishad, small, very light books. So so that he can offer something. So he always prepares. So I learned a lot from him in that way. Any opportunity, he meet anybody, he's trying to give Krishna consciousness. And also, I don't know whether you know the Mother Kulangana. Mother Kulangana also the same. Sometimes she needs to buy something, so I used to give her lift. And then even if she goes to Tesco, and while her paying the money, she used to say Hare Krishna. And then the cashier, so sometimes they get surprised. And then because all the lady asking very gently, so they'll say with smile, Hare Krishna. In this way, she took so much pleasure that sharing Krishna Katha to everybody. So in this way, Shasvan Mat Anukirtanam. So constantly glorify Krishna. That is also the way we develop love for Krishna. And then next is Parinishta cha pujayam. So whatever puja you perform in your own way, at your home or at the temple, so parinishta, you have to be steady. Oh, I've done for a while, so I need to have a break. But in Krishna consciousness, better not to have a break. So he said parinishta. So he says here, parinishta means fixed in attachment. So you have to be fixed with that service. And then stutivihi stavanam mama. So fourth is stuti. So use beautiful hymns. So sometimes we should recite Durva Stuti, Kunti Stuti, Kajendra Moksham, and the Pallada Stuti. All the Stuti are beautiful hymns. So we regularly recite and then memorize, or at least we discuss these stutis. Will be great format for developing bhakti. And then Ahadara Parichayayam. So Ahadara means showing respect to Krishna service. Sometimes we are in a position that we may not perform the direct service to Krishna, but if someone else is performing, then we should offer respect, Adara. That offering respect, this aspect also will develop our own bhakti. How nice it is. And then Salva Angail Abhivandanam. Salva Anga. Anga means limbs. Salva Anga. Use all our limbs we use for paying obeisances. That's why when we go to temple, when we pay obeisances, always utter pranam. So that when you offer obeisances, I'm sure you may have noticed that devotee always saying Namam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. In this way, our lips also has to be engaged through the obeisances. Of course, we are bending down our hand and knees. So in this way, we put our head down. All this, each limb has to be engaged. And also, some of them, well, most of us, when we pay obeisances, when we're facing the floor, normally we close our eyes. So that moment, when you close our eyes, that moment you should bring the image of Krishna. And then as soon as you stand up after paying obeisances, as soon as you open the eyes, so you should match with that image which you saw while closed your eyes, and as soon as open your eyes has to be matched. So this is another way of practicing, developing the bhakti. So in this way, we have to meditate constantly Krishna. So next time after lockdown, when you visit temple, or even during the lockdown, if you get a chance to visit temple, that at the moment the obeisance is not allowed, but when you are when you have a chance, to try to practice. So you obeisances and close your eyes during obeisances, and then you bring the image of Krishna, and then when you open the eyes, so trying to confirm that image with the Krishna on the altar. And then Mat Bhakta Puja Puja Bhya Adhikaha. So here it says Mat Bhakta Puja Adhikyaya. So here translation, it says, beautiful, praising me through beautiful hymns and great respect for my devotional service and the offering obeisance with entire body and performing first class worship of my devotee. Here saying also, not only Krishna on the altar, so we have to offer some due respect to the Krishna's devotee also. So that also, if you know how to respect the devotee, that also it helps us, our devotion. And then, Salva Bhuteshu Manmatihi, that also, not only devotee, Krishna stretches us. First of all, you start with my bhakta. So start to offer obeisances to my devotee. Then once you develop that respect, then extend that respect to all the living entity, your neighbors. Sometimes a spider comes through the window, so that spider also. A tree outside, early morning, beautiful singing of the bird. That also you have to offer respect, and also you think Mammatihi, think of Krishna also. So that Shabdake Porusham Nurishu, the ability in man, Krishna said, I am. So when someone do the good job, then there's a Krishna sanction to him to do so. He became instrument of Krishna. So not only thanking him, so you thank Krishna also. Beautiful singing of the bird, that's actually manifestation of Krishna's voice. So Krishna has millions of voice. Krishna knows millions of language. Krishna is Salvagya, Lord of everything. So this singing of bird coming through my ears to send the message of Krishna. So we have to think in that way. And then, mat alteshu angachetishtashtaha. So he says here, offering of ordinary and bodily activities in my devotional service. This is also an amazing statement. So once you know this verse, for example, you are cooking, if you are cooking the rice for your family, this ordinary activity also can be considered as a devotional service to Krishna. You may offer even for yourself. You may cook for yourself. That also, this is activity of offering Krishna within your own belly. Yes. So in this way, ordinary activity, even looks like a very simple activity, that also can be considered as Krishna serves towards Krishna. And then here it says, Bhachasa mat guner ranam. So here it says iranam. So Bhachasa mat gunaha, and then iranam. Iranam is declaring. So Bhachasa. So by words, so anytime you have opportunity, you try to describe transcendental qualities of Krishna. Mat gunaha. So that always remember mat gunaha. Pachasa mat gunaha. So best use of our lips and our tongue is glorifying the Krishna. So this is another anga of developing devotional service. And then offering the mind to me. So here, my alpanam cha manasaha. So, Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, it says, my alpita mano buddhi. So it says, chapter 12, it is exactly the same as this verse. So let us look at chapter 12.
Which verse?
3 and 4, I think. Maybe not this one. There is a verse, it says, my atasva. Okay, text 8, 12:8. Mai eva mana adasva mai buddhim niveshaya nivashishash mai eva atha urdvana samshaya. So, yeah,
Premila.
can anyone read the translation? Thank you.
Premila Mataji, could you kindly read it?
Okay, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt.
Yes. So, in this way, Krishna said, fix your mind on me, said here. And so Krishna said again, text 14, 12, 13, and 14. 12, 13, and 14. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchaya mai alpita mano buddhir yo mad bhakta same priya. This one is mentioned the text 13 and 14. So could you find the text, the same chapter? Yes, thank you. So the translation.
Bharat Prabhu, could you kindly unmute and read it? Bharat Prabhu? Bharat Patel? All right. Uma, could you kindly unmute and read it?
Hare Krishna. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who doesn't think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fix on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So this is Krishna's definition of bhakta. Yo mat bhakta samepriya. These people are called bhakta. So there are many aspects to it, start with Advaita Sarvabhutanam, but today we just focus on this my alpita mano buddhi. So alpita means engaged, or alpita means to get fixed. So fixed, my, on me. What do we have to fix? Manaha and buddhi, our mind and buddhi. So here we come back to Bhagavatam, 19th chapter, text 23, 22 here. Mai alpanam cha manasa. So the key theme is actually repeating again and again. So your mind, alpita, alpanam, should be engaged or fixed on me. And then salva kama vivarjanam. So all the desire has to be vivarjanam, has to be given up. Why? Because once we are connected with Krishna, who is Krishna? Who owns entire universe, who knows past, present, and future, who is dear to devotees. What to worry? Desire means deep down fear in our heart. Deep down fear means deep down insecurity in our mind. Nothing more than. Desire means expression of our ignorance. So we look at deep down three granthas, three notes in our heart, start with avidya, and then manifest through the karma, and then become physical by karma, action. So avidya, karma, karma, karma. So Kunti Dev says in Kunti Sutri, and also here it says also, Krishna says, salva karma. Not just that this is not helpful, or this maybe help me for spiritual life, but any karma. Krishna says, salva karma vivarjanam. All the desire, you let go. Why? But ultimately, Krishna knows what's best for you. Krishna will arrange the best for you. But do not compare with other people. Why? Because our devotion, our path to Krishna is very unique. Krishna enjoys the uniqueness of your devotion. So you can get some idea, or we can get some guidance from others, but ultimately, you yourself find your own way to develop unique relationship with Krishna, with your personal circumstances. And then next one is mat alte alta parityago. So parityaga, giving up the alta. So giving up your wealth, alta, mat alta, for the sake of me. For me, you give up your wealth. So in this way, there should be discretion so that how much you can contribute of your wealth. So that with your discretion, you should share. So that will help developing your own bhakti. And also, bhogasya, sukhasya, not only wealth, your bhoga, your enjoyment. So that's the other class that we heard from Joli Mataji, that she gave up EastEnders. This is a huge, actually, endeavor, because I'm sure there is some enjoyment, there is some relaxation, maybe there is some kind of feeling of letting her hair down. So some comfort it may give, some fun it may give, but and yet she gave up. So that this is giving up the bhogasya for Krishna's sake. But this is actually not a simple thing, it's a huge thing. And also sukhasya, my own sensory happiness, we give up. This is also one of way to develop love for Krishna. And also it says the ishtam dattam. So whatever desirable you offer to Krishna, and then dattam, the charity. So charity, we discussed already that dandanyasa paramdanam. So that giving up the aggression, giving up ill feeling towards others. This also helping developing our bhakti. And also hutam. Hutam means here is the sacrifice. So any sacrifice fundamentally yagyo vaisaha Vishnu. So that although there is a certain purpose of performing sacrifice, but fundamentally we have to guide towards pleasing Krishna. And then japtam. Japtam is here chanting the holy names of Lord. So if you chant holy name, this also help towards developing bhakti. And also the mat altam yat bratam tapaha. Any bratas, for example, Ekadashi brata or other bratas, also not increase our ego, it we should develop our love for Krishna. And also tapaha, tapasa also. So any austerity, ultimately we discussed already, austerity means activity which leading or which is favorable for developing love for Krishna is actually tapasa, not just the physical torment, physical pain. Yes. So in this way, evam dharmai manushanam utbhavatma nivedinam. So this will raise our consciousness. This will raise our dormant love for Krishna, and then this will nourish our bhakti for Krishna. My sanjayate bhakti konyat alta svasya shishyate. So it says here, by which those human beings who have actually surrendered themselves to me automatically develop love for me. What other purpose or goal could remain for my devotee? So what else do we need? We have here perfect this description of how to perform our dharma, and also through this dharma, there is no doubt it will develop our bhakti. So in this way, today's verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, one of the most famous, the key verses is Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktil Adoksaje Ahoitaki Apratyata Yatatma Suprasidati. So this is the manual for happiness. So you perform dharma, number one, and then through that dharma, you develop bhakti, then automatically not only pleasing to Krishna, it makes you happy also. Suprasiddhati, Atma Suprasiddhati, my own existence, my own self will become happy. So I'll end here today. And if there is any question and comment, please.
Does anyone have a question? Kindly unmute himself one by one.
So when we discuss a manual, it becomes a bit, what you call, a bit hard. Not like kata. Kata is very pleasing and very soft and nice. But when we go through manual, I guess it is a bit maybe difficult to digest. But it's good to know, and also good to remind ourselves that all these are there to help us to develop our love for Krishna, and also this is the procedure we have to go through, so that this process itself, in the beginning, maybe because we may not used to it, maybe a little bit of difficulties there. But if you continue on practice, then slowly we'll develop certain taste to it. So once we develop this taste, then all other lower taste will go away.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Chaitanya Mataji.
I missed some of the references. So written chapter 12, text 8, 13 and 14. I missed some of the references to the Sanskrit.
Okay, so I think I'll share here. It is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, 13 to...
Oh, it's Bhagavad Gita, not
Yeah,
English.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's on screen
all
right
right.
now. Yes.
All right. Then that's all right.
Okay then.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
It was very beautiful. Everything you've described today, it's so much to learn and so beautiful. Thank you.
A lot to take in, isn't it? But you'll get used to it, because all this topic which I described, it will come in the form of a story later. There is a beautiful story, comes from the Dhruva Maharaj, beautiful story from Prahlad Maharaj, again beautiful story from Kunti Dev. It's all be repeated. So this one sense, we are giving you summary of what we need to digest, so that it will come slowly. So I hope
very beautiful. No, it's very
patient.
beautiful.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you. Patanjali Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you for the beautiful class. I completely share with Chaitanya Mataji. I'm going to say, you said manual, but it's so very practical and an easy way to make us progress towards Bhakti and Dharma. Today, and this is my reflection, right now I'm going to start with closing my eyes when I do my obeisances, and making sure when I open my eyes, I remember the same image of Lord Krishna. So thank you for teaching me that, Prabhuji. I'll start that right away.
Okay, thank you.
Bhavini Mataji, you unmuted yourself. Maybe you have a question. Bhavini?
Hare Krishna. So my question is that when you come from a place of faith, from how we were brought up, and we have that faith where parents and grandparents have taught us all these lovely stories, and this development of and relationship with Krishna, and then for myself, having then come into ISKCON and reading Srila Prabhupada's books, finding out that those subtle stories and the upbringing that I received, it's all laid out there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm finding myself that I'm becoming very more attached and relishing the reading, and my practice is not as good as it was previously. So what do you suggest?
Okay, so if you read, then the current your activity may not be directly related to devotional service. You may think in that way, but actually it's not. So that fundamentally it's all about our perception and our consciousness. So we all do our external activities to improve our consciousness, to change it into Krishna consciousness. So if you read more, if you relate whatever you learned into this Srimad Bhagavatam teachings and instructions, then that is a great thing. So that I don't think much to worry about that. The problem is nowadays people are reading less and they do action more. There is I feel, a big cause of concern, because we don't read, we don't discuss, and constantly we do activities only, then the activities itself may cause friction, and also it will not last long, that activities. So sometimes people without reading just happy with associating with like-minded people, but later on they're finding some politics, and then they get disappointed, and then they leave service altogether. So constantly we have to be charged, like the phone we use, we charge it, and so we drive for a while, we put the petrol again, and then actually Ishopanishad, the Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad says about that. So here it says Mundaka Upanishad, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 4. I sent you in the group message.
It's on screen now.
It's on screen. Can you send a group message? I sent it already.
Yes.
Yeah, Nayam Atma Bala Hinena Labhyo. So our true self or our devotion, Bala Hinena Labhyo, na. So na labhyo, we cannot attain Bala Hina without strength and energy, our endeavor. And also nacha pramadat tapaso ba api alingat, if it's not properly channeled, even if we perform tapasapi alingat, if it is not properly channeled, then we will not have right way of reaching Krishna. And he says, Etail upayail yatate yattu vidams tashaiva atma vishate brahma dhamma. So I'll read the translation. It says here, this self atma, here translated as self. And also this atma can be translated as a paramatma also, Krishna. So Krishna cannot be attained by one without strength, which means your endeavor. We have to make endeavor. As you know, the Mother Yashoda, in order to bind Krishna, she has to chase after Krishna. And then nor through heedlessness. So if we don't pay attention, then we will not get Krishna. Nor through austerity without aim. You perform austerity alone will not make you reach Krishna. We should have proper guidance and aim. And then, but if he who strives by these means, by proper attention, by proper austerity, by proper endeavor, these three means, if he is knower, then this self of his, or the Krishna, he will enter the abode of the absolute truth. So this is mentioned in Upanishad. So in this way, you can't do everything. So sometimes if we focus on one area, that area may lag, but fundamentally, as Mataji says, that if you continue on reading and then continue on attending this type of discussion, then I don't think much of a worry.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Having said that, I think that the classes that you give do give us practical points that we can take on board and apply. But at the back of my mind, I am reading quite a lot more, and I just think, oh, maybe I should be doing, a bit more deity worship and other aspects as well. So that was just at the back of my mind. But having said that, your classes are very practical, so we can apply many things and take it on board. So thank you.
Yes, always we have to think what is the works for us, what is not working for us, because there are many types of variety of devotional service. Some group will always push you to get involved in the temple practically, making samosa, etc., etc. Or the other group will pushing you, or join this sangha, or join this bhakti shastri. That's too many things are there. And also, if you open the channel of YouTube, too many good speakers. You don't know which one to choose, but somehow you got related to it. Whatever something nourishing for you, then you focus on that, and then from that you can build your own way of strengthening your devotion. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I've got a question.
Yes.
When we pay obeisances and the same picture doesn't come that is on our altar, but another form comes. Another form means Krishna's form, but different features of face. Oh, what happens here?
Oh, that's okay. Krishna is always a variety, mother of so many varieties. So, you see one Krishna in your own mind, and then another Krishna appears. That also no harm. It's a good thing.
Because it doesn't match the same,
It doesn't matter. So if you can match, then which means you are more observed on the deity you are seeing. But even if it doesn't match, that doesn't mean that Krishna will be upset. So Krishna will be happy to appear in many forms. So that's no harm.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So don't think Krishna in on Radha Gokulananda or Radha Nandanishvara. Sometimes there is a debate, Radha Nandanishvara is more beautiful than Radha Gokulananda. Then when Krishna hears this, Krishna will laugh. So that you all have our own preferences and also our own particular relationship with the particular deities. So if you have that, that's great. So that there is no harm for
even if you're not serving the deity. Like if you are at home, Radha Krishna, it's different. And when you bow down and you pay your obeisances and then you get up, you might see Radha Shyam Sundar. And you haven't even done any service for Radha Shyam Sundar. That's what I'm thinking.
Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Remembering, thinking of Krishna also service, Mataji. Very important anga of service. Don't think offering candle or food, offering bhoga is only service. No, you're thinking about them itself is service. So that there are many aspects of service, as Prahlad Maharaj said. So that any anga will have the same aspect of other anga. And also out of 9 anga of devotional service, anything you hold on to, that will be enough to take you back to Krishna. Yes?
Thank you very much, but for the very, very, very wonderful class. And if I see still people have questions, but we need to
maybe last one I'll take from the iPhone here. The last one, maybe one last one. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm Surya. Just wanted to check, Prabhuji. This last question you answered, that's exactly what I had in mind. Apologies if I'm repeating it. But in a lot of shlokas, Prabhupada talks about service, that we have to do devotional service. And then I heard some people who was teaching about chanting, that we should chant a lot and all that. And the argument was that chanting is devotional service itself. I'm just thinking, Prabhuji, so service means we have to serve in the temple, or do we have to, like, even if we're chanting or praying, that's also service? Like, I'm sorry, I'm repeating the question, but I'm really confused, Prabhuji, what to do.
It depends on your circumstances. If you have some time to spare in the directly to do a temple service, that is great. But if you don't, personal circumstance due to work commitment or family commitment, if you cannot, then that you don't need to feel guilty about it. Because at home, at least you are engaged in certain form. So that the danger is that when you are not connected, sometimes we easy to miss the strength of our sadhana. So that we are concerned about it. But if you have enough strength that even though you are alone, if you can continue your sadhana, then you don't need to feel much of pang of conscience, so they say. So that it depends on your personal circumstances. Of course, temple point of view, the more people get involved with the practical service, it will be good. But all depends on different circumstances. So you'll be better judge of that. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Good.
you.
Patanjali Muni Prabhu,
Okay.
do closing prayers.
Okay, I'll do closing prayers. Om Salve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Salve Santu Niramaya, Salve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Tukavag Bhavet. Om Shanti
Shanti,
Shanti. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasum Shapatinam Pavanam Vishnabhava Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai. Patanjali Muni Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Patanjali Muni
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Pranam.
Prabhu. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Pranam.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Prabhu, are you going to put post the daily for Monday, daily broadcast for Monday?
Monday once, unfortunately, I didn't record it. I just
Oh, a
because
mistake.
I thought it's just going to read for mostly deity worship chapter, so that maybe I thought it wasn't necessary. So
Okay,
I didn't
don't worry,
record.
don't worry. But
Yeah.
yeah, I will read again. But
Okay.
because of the little child, I wasn't able to listen to the whole of the class.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, no
Okay.
problem.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Patanjali Muni Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
How are you?
Krishna. I'm okay, thank you. I managed to listen today because other
Leave, no?
Tuesday I don't have time, but today I had. Thank you.
Okay, good. You joined. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're always busy, so I'm
Yes,
glad you
wonderful.
were here.
It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.